Please welcome Emaan to the stage. Her talk is a powerful and personal testament to the theme of renewal. She will share her own journey of having to press reset multiple times, and how each challenging restart wasn't an end, but a vital chance to rebuild, adapt, and grow. Join me in welcoming Emaan.
Have you ever spent countless days working on a project? Late nights, long hours, and blood, sweat, and tears poured into an essay? Just to step back and your little brother, cat, or some form of magical ghost comes up to your computer and presses it. Control, Alt, Delete. The worst part? You didn't back it up. That's it. All of your hard work down the drain, and you have to start completely fresh. That was how I felt when, after completing the first term of my A-levels, my parents came to me and said, "Surprise, we're moving to Singapore." At first, it didn't feel real. I remember sitting in my bedroom, surrounded by half-packed boxes, thinking that at any moment now my parents would change their minds and I'd be back in school before my friends even realized I was gone. But then reality set in, and many farewell dinners and teary goodbyes later, I was at the airport and on a plane with a one-way ticket to a city I'd only been to once. Dubai was my home. That was when I realized what control, or losing control, really meant. Dubai was my home. I grew up there. Yet it felt like all of a sudden, all of that was going to get wiped away. I didn't get to choose whether I wanted to say goodbye to my friends, my school, and the life I'd built there. It felt like somebody had yanked the keyboard out of my hands and forced me to restart an essay halfway through. In Dubai, I had control. I had my path, my routine, my place. Yet all of that suddenly felt like it didn't matter. It felt like I was being transported to a world where I had no control. In Singapore, I didn't just lose control once, I lost it over and over again. First, when I moved to the Australian International School, after only ever having been in a British education system. I had to learn how their system worked, and once I'd finally adjusted and learned, I moved schools again to Tanglin Trust. This was a massive change for me. Prior to this, I'd been in the same school since 2018 and lived in the same city for 17 years. I'd started writing personal statements and planning grad trips. But all of that didn't matter because I was in a new city. I really didn't feel like myself, and honestly, I was struggling. But when we're in a situation like that, how do we regain control? My advice: throw yourself into the things that you love. For me, that was rugby. I'd played in Dubai, and I wanted to continue to play the sport that I loved. That was why the first thing that I sought out when moving to Singapore was a rugby team. Joining 2 clubs here helped me not only regain my sense of control and my sense of self, but it helped me to come out of my shell. Not only that, but after less than a year of living in Singapore, I was awarded the challenge of co-captaining the Singapore under-18 rugby team at Asia Sevens. That being said, school was still really frustrating. It felt like everybody had their friend groups, their inside jokes, and their histories. Meanwhile, I was the new kid. Twice. And it wasn't just about being new. It was about being unfamiliar in a world that was already built. That's where the second part of Control, Alt, Delete comes in. Alt. Because when your computer crashes, you don't just panic. You look for alternatives, an alternative mindset, an alternative route, an alternative path. And that was exactly what I had to do. It's so easy to fall into the victim mentality of why me? But when with an alternative mindset, we shift that question. Instead of resisting change, why don't we instead ask, what now? How do I make the best of this situation? Another thing about alternative mindsets is that it forces you to see yourself in a different light. For example, repeating a year felt like a punishment. It felt like I was being dragged back while watching everyone else move forward. Watching my friends get their university acceptance letters and graduate was a blow to my ego. But in hindsight, that alternative path, that detour, It gave me time to breathe, time to grow, not just academically, but also personally. Time to adjust to Singapore without feeling like I was constantly playing catch-up. Although I didn't see it, that path was exactly what I needed. At first, my alternatives within Singapore were small, whether it was choosing to speak up in class or asking somebody to sit with them at lunch, even when I felt like an imposter walking in. But slowly and surely, those alternatives started to add up. And eventually, I realized that an alternative path isn't a worse one. It's just not the one that I realized that I needed. Something interesting about my schooling, for example. I went from doing A-levels to IB and then back to A-levels, but this time with a different subject combination. Now, in the moment, every reset felt like a failure. It felt that everybody else had it figured out while I just couldn't stick to one path. But what I realized is that each lesson taught me something new. The IB gave me breadth. It taught me how to think between multiple disciplines while balancing creativity and my academics. But A-levels taught me depth, how to learn about the subjects that I truly love in detail. Every experience I've had taught me something new. But here's where the most difficult part comes in: delete. No matter how many alternatives you try, you have to let go at some point. And that's the most difficult part. Letting go isn't easy. I had to let go of the idea that I could live in 2 places in once. I had to let go of the idea that I could live in Singapore with my heart still back home. I had to let go of the comfort of Dubai, the certainty of my future. I had to let go of the idea that just because I had repeated a year, it meant that I was behind. Deletion feels final. It feels like loss, but it's not loss. Deleting just means clearing space for something new to take place. And that was exactly what's happened. Once I started to make space for new things, I found new friends, new teammates, a new me. Control-Alt-Delete showed me that deleting doesn't mean getting rid of myself, getting rid of my memories of the place that I grew up in. Instead, it just means making room for a new me to grow. We've all had our own Control-Alt-Delete moments, whether it was moving schools or not making an opportunity you worked so hard for. Maybe it was losing a friendship, or maybe it was realizing that the path you thought you'd take wasn't the path that was right for you. But deleting gives us maybe it was something bigger, like the pandemic, where the whole world crashed and we had to reboot it together. I can't say that my move to Singapore has been easy. It hasn't, but it was transformative. And these deleting moments showed me that it's not the end, it's the restart. Control teaches us humility. Alternatives teach us creativity. And loss teaches us to let go so that we can grow. So I hope you've come to the mindset that even when life presses Control-Alt-Delete, no matter what, you will be okay. Thank you.